All right, everybody. I don't usually do this, but welcome to the Fantasy Six Pack Hour. Kind of starting off a little bit different this week because we've got a brand new intro thanks to Davis Peng, and I wanted to give it proper due here. So let's rock and roll. See you in a few minutes.
The Fantasy Six Pack Hour with your hosts, Joe Bob and AJ Applegarth.
Touchdown! That's awesome. I don't know why the layout was all weird, but that was pretty dope, man. I loved it. Davis, if you're watching, that was done. Amazing. Very well done. Love the retro throwback, as we've been using that Tecmo Bowl, music for a while. And I had to pull out the Raz Bowl shirt this year, which is Tecmo Bowl themed, obviously. So perfect, man. I loved it. I've got another kind of themed thing here that we'll do in a second, but let's jump into things here, man. So again, welcome to the Fantasy Six Pack Hour. I'm Joe Bond, founder of FantasySixPack.net. With me as usual, AJ Applegarth. What is up, man?
Not much. That was awesome.
Yeah, man. Yeah, we're gonna have to get a baseball version here for the next for February shows when those start. So maybe some like RBI baseball or whatever it is from Nintendo. So that'll be good stuff. So all right, man. So tonight we are watching the Bengals and the Dolphins play on Thursday night, and Tua just went down with a pretty nasty injury. It was looks like another concussion. Well, I mean, we say another, but last week wasn't a concussion. I'm doing air quotes. We have no idea. Like, he basically stumbled halfway down the field. And
sorry, what was that, Fleetwood Mac? Tell me lies, tell me sweet little
lies. Yeah. So it was yeah. I mean, he's basically their team surrounding him at this point. It's bad. I don't know if he's knocked unconscious or something, but it's not looking good. His hands did one of those these things, it just kind of all contorted. It was, yeah, not good. So it's bad, man. I was really digging what the Dolphins and Tua were doing this year, and it's obviously going to take a massive blow here if Tua can't get back on the field soon. But obviously we want to see him get right and get healthy first. But the score is 7-6 Cincy, so it's a close ball game right now. We'll see who pulls it out. But tonight, guys, on the show, what we're going to be talking about is obviously we'll go through our rankings review like we usually do, the injuries. But before that, we'll be jumping into some early season busts and some early season overperformers, and kind of discuss whether or not we think you should be buying low, selling high, cutting, just holding. Every situation is different here, so we'll get into that. And so without further ado, let's do our beer of the week.
Beer.
All right, AJ, what you got, man?
Okay, well, I'm getting a little heady tonight and drinking the Elysian Dank Dust IPA. Whoa. It's pretty good. It's definitely danky. So if you're not swanky enough to drink the danky enough, then don't bother. But if you're into it, go for it.
Nice. So my little extra thing that I had to go with the theme of the new intro and my shirt is I bought this beer about 5 weeks ago. It was a 4-pack. And once I knew the direction that Davis was going with this, I held on to the last one for about 3 weeks. It is from Crooked Crab Brewing. And I got to show the can here. Hopefully you are watching or can watch, and if you're not watching and you're just listening, go over to YouTube and watch this because it is phenomenal. Couldn't be any better. Crab Arcade, and it's literally a picture of a crab playing a video game, an arcade machine, and it goes right with the intro video where it's the zoom in of the arcade machine and the Tecmo Bowl and all the pixelated old style graphics. So it is good, and I've had this. I believe I gave this a 4.25 on Untapped, but it is very tasty.
Okay, wow.
So
look at you sir are growing up. You're just flourishing right before our eyes here with all this combining and coordinating. Like, who are you? What did you do with my co-host?
I got nothing for that, man. Anyway, let's jump in here to some. I'm actually trying to type out the tweet as we talk right now, so it's not going very well because I've been talking too much. Anyway, let's jump in here to our discussion of some early season busts and overperformers, and we're gonna kind of just rip through positions and go that way. So some early season quarterback busts. My number one here, AJ, is Tom Brady, and I hesitated putting him on here because we know he's been dealing with injuries, with the receiving core. And of course, last week was the suspension with Mike Evans on top of that. So I hesitated putting him on there, but at the same time, week 1 wasn't very pretty either with him. No. And they had everybody for the majority of that game. And, I looked at it as, the O-line's been kind of busted, and we knew that was happening. He missed a bunch of time in the preseason with that team. And you wonder if it's just really kind of caught up. And, I guess the question, right, to you is he, what are you doing with him? Buying low, selling high? You just holding, hope? If you have him, are you holding? Are you just, or is he just like I'm out. I'm just going to, if I can't sell him, I'm going to cut him type of deal. What are you doing? Like, what are you thinking with Brady right now? It's hard.
Yeah. I mean, I still feel like he's going to put together a very solid season overall. I mean, there's too much talent on that team for him not to, assuming that he's healthy and wants to go and can. But yeah, I mean, I'd be fine selling him right now. If there's somebody that really believes in him and wants to go after it, then sure, why not? Go ahead and sell him. Especially if it's going to get you something that you need more right now. I mean, if you can get, I don't want to say a lesser quarterback, but, somebody who's just kind of playing well enough and someone you like, yeah, I wouldn't mind tying them in with another position player that's going to help my team.
Yeah, you get one of those, I don't know. If somebody's really buying back into Tom Brady, I think, and they want to give you at least like a mid-tier QB2, who has QB1 upside on certain weeks, right? I would do that as long as they're packaging like a decent player with him. You build depth with it. I don't know if anybody's really doing that right now. Is kind of the problem. I think everybody's kind of waiting and seeing with Brady, at least in the leagues I'm in. Like nobody's really like going like, oh yeah, no, Brady's awesome. He's gonna be cool. Like I think a lot of the leagues I'm in, very savvy players, and they all have the same concerns that we do. So I'm kind of with you. There's probably not a whole lot you can do with him. I think if you have him, you're holding, you might have to play matchups with him right now and hope, maybe wait and see if he can finally start getting going. And you might miss the first, blow up game from him, but it hasn't been pretty early. So.
No, but I mean, these guys are going to come back too. I mean, obviously, Evans will be back this week.
He's QB 28 right now. By the way, it is not good.
No,
he was being drafted at QB 8.
A lot of talent, a lot of good, you know, players that can help him be a valuable fantasy asset. But
Absolutely.
they need to play, and you know,
They
he
need to
needs
get
to play
Godwin
on
and
his
everybody
team.
else back for
Yeah.
sure. That's going to help immensely. But yeah, so jumping over here to another guy I had, and it's Mr. Aaron Rodgers. Um, being drafted around QB 9-ish, and he's the QB 26. So also not good. We had concerns with him in the offseason, and everybody says, you heard it. Oh, it's Aaron Rodgers. He'll figure it out. Will he? I mean, he hasn't so far. Last week looked much better,
Not
right?
drinking enough of that tea.
Right. Last week's looked a lot better against a good Tampa offense. So there's maybe a glimmer of hope here, right? Dobbs kind of shined last week with a couple guys banged up. Sammy Watkins is now out for the year, so maybe Dobbs gets a huge boost here. Lazard didn't play week 1, kind of played week 2, really bounced back in week 3, kind of like I expected. So what's your thoughts on Rodgers here? Do you think he's going to figure it out with these guys, or is he just going to struggle kind of all year to just hang on to that back end QB1 territory, and we're just going to be frustrated as hell with him?
Yeah, I think he's going to stick around the lower QB1, at best. But I just see him being an earlier QB2 right now. I mean, you can't trust him, because he can't trust his receivers. Granted, there's been some injury issues there too, so it's a little bit more of a wait and see. But I mean, if it doesn't start getting better when these guys are healthy, and especially Lazard coming back is big because that's his main safety net. I feel like. I mean,
At least this year for now, at least in the beginning.
Yeah, I mean, but he's got the 2 running backs. Granted, Dylan's a little banged up, but again, there's talent on the team. He just looks old right now.
I don't know if it's really that, or if it's everything. It really is just he doesn't have a Devontae Adams. He doesn't have that stud, and I think that's really hurting him. And again, that was one of those things where that's why he was a big fade for me. I wanted one of those quarterbacks in the drafts that could run. Right, Rodgers isn't going to run anymore. I wanted one of those guys, and if I missed on that, I mean, we were looking at what Brady, Rodgers, Stafford, who had an elbow injury, who has thrown a crazy amount of picks already this year. It looked okay, but crazy amount of picks. If I missed on all those guys, if I missed on all those, like the Hurts and, sadly Lance, right? Like whatever, you can't predict that, right? But if I missed on all those top guys, I missed on Hurts and Lance, I was willing to wait for Carr, Cousins, and just kind of figured I would take 2 and just figure it out. Because I didn't trust Rodgers. I didn't trust. I was sort of in on Wilson, and we'll get to that one in a second here. But that obviously hasn't worked out. But yeah, I was willing to wait and just pass on these guys. And again, like I just said, Russell Wilson, the next one on this list here, and he has not looked good. And some of it I don't feel like is totally his fault. This time management, play calling has just looked atrocious. Some of it though, like, we used to say back when he played for Seattle, right, that, the offensive line wasn't great, at least pass blocking wise. Now I'm just starting to think Russell Wilson just holds on to this ball way too damn long, dude. Start reading some defenses and throw the ball right into some gaps, because he's still getting sacked left and right, running around like an idiot, and he's not fast anymore. So like he's getting burned by it. And he wasn't a Lamar Jackson where his speed was up here. His speed was here to start with, and he was just like a smart scrambler. So now that he's not a great passer out of it, it's not working. And I don't know, something's got to give. I kind of feel like there's still room for him to grow, but it's not looking good right now. So what's your thoughts on Russell Wilson?
Disappointment.
No
I mean, it's just it's tough to look at this, and all three of these guys, like they're, I feel like almost like our generation's QBs, because we've grown old with them. Obviously Wilson's not as old as the other two, but working his way there, and he just doesn't look comfortable on the field right now.
No, he definitely doesn't.
I do have a couple shares of him on some leagues, but I'm benching him. I'm like looking for streaming options at this point with him until he starts showing me something better.
I sadly have him in 14 team leagues where there aren't good backup quarterbacks available. So I'm just stuck with him, honestly. Like there's nothing I can do, which really sucks.
Yeah.
So I'm just hoping and praying he makes it work.
Yeah. And again, common theme that we've got here, lots of talent around him to help his performance succeed.
Well, outside of Rodgers, I guess.
Well, yeah. I mean, Rodgers he's still got talented running backs and one receiver. But yeah, I mean, Wilson's got a great receiving, tandem. And then you throw Hamler in there too, or if Tim Patrick was healthy, unfortunately, that would have been another threat there. I just think that they got to figure something out with this offense. Otherwise, this could be the first firing of the season for head coach, because he is
that'd be pretty rough. But it wouldn't totally surprise me. I mean, he has botched many opportunities. I mean, that very first game where it wasn't calling timeouts, and then just in spite called him at the end of the game. You're like, what are you doing? This game's over. You can't even even if you call all three, you're not gonna make this up. Like, you're an idiot. I gotta throw this one out here just because, yes, it's a bust, but it's not quite as hurtful of a bust as some of these other guys. But Justin Fields,
one of these things is not like the other.
The living hell is going on? Let me give you a stat. He has thrown 45 passing attempts as of week 3. Do you want to guess what number quarterback he ranks in passing attempts?
Very low.
Yes.
I'm trying to scroll to figure out just how low is low.
Last?
Yeah, wow. Right, 30th. He is at 30th.
No. He is 32nd. Which means, by the way, that he has been passed by quarterbacks who have not started all 3 games. Cooper Rush. He's only 14 passing attempts ahead of Trey Lance.
Jimmy Garoppolo, too.
Garoppolo actually has more than him.
Garoppolo passed him. That was the other one I was looking at.
Yeah. So I don't know. Obviously, if you have Justin Fields as your quarterback, I mean, you had to have had a different option at this point.
Plus,
and clearly, in my opinion, I think he's a straight cuttable. I would hope that you would agree on that.
No, man, I'm building for the future. No. Yes.
I do have him in a dynasty league.
Definitely cut.
But I also have Trevor Lawrence. Fields has not come anywhere close to my starting lineup.
Yeah. All right. Well, let's look at some overperformers here from the QB position. And the two we have listed here are interesting for a couple of reasons. The first one here is my boy Carson Wentz. No, not my boy. But Wentz has actually been pretty good. As much of it pains me to say that, aside from the 9 sacks that he took last week against the Eagles, which I'm more than okay with, he's still got decent stats. He's putting up some numbers, and I think this is what the football team needed, just somebody that could get out there, take a beating, still has, some decent, throws and thoughts, I guess, but, he is an interception prone dude. Granted, he's only got 3 so far this year. So, 7 touchdowns. Like I said, 15 sacks. He's tied for the league lead with Joe Burrow, not including
decimated last week by Philly, man. Holy cow.
Yeah, he
That
was.
was,
You
that
take
was
that
something else,
game
dude.
out, and he's one of the lowest amount.
9 sacks.
Yeah. So, what are your thoughts on Carson Wentzington
I mean,
football scheme?
I think, I said this in one of my Bonds banter articles. Thank you for that name, AJ, by the way. I said this after the Detroit game.
Born overnight, I guess.
Right.
I don't know.
So I said this after the week 2 Bonds banter article, was that at this point, Carson Wentz probably needs to be picked up in your league if you are struggling at quarterback, right? And yes, last week didn't go well. Was I expecting, 27 and 27 points from him every single week? Hell no. Was I expecting 8.6 points from him, every week, which is what he got last week? No. He's probably somewhere in that streamable quarterback range at this point for a couple reasons, right? Look, I still don't think he's like completely washed. No. Do I think he's what he was when he played for Philly and had that like MVP run? No. Everybody knows that at this point. The injuries have just caught up to him. Yeah. He's not the runner he was. The other thing is, the Washington defense, as much as I thought it might bounce back this year, is clearly not going to. So he's going to be throwing a lot. And he did last game too. It just
43
teams, Philly just teed off on him. 41, 46, and 43 pass attempts. So he's going to be playing from behind a lot. And so the opportunity is going to be there for him. So if he's your second quarterback and you're in a league where you need to hold 2 quarterbacks, or, you've got, I don't know, like, let's be real, like even Kirk Cousins is still a streamable quarterback. He might finish QB 11 again, but he's still a streamable quarterback because he's not a lock in. You got to start him every week just because he's going to finish QB 11.
Yeah.
He'll be QB 11 because he's QB 8, QB 9, QB 16, QB 12, QB 14, QB 18. He just kind of fluctuates, right? So at the end of the year, he'll be QB 11. That's what he's done. Carson Wentz on the off weeks where, Kirk Cousins is playing, I don't know who's top notch defense this year. Well, yeah, I mean, right now, yeah, absolutely. So he plays the Eagles, right? He plays one of these lockdown defenses, right? Tampa, pretty good too right now. So when Cousins plays one of these lockdown defenses, right, or plays Monday night, then you throw in Carson Wentz. Like that's what you do with him. Or if you're just streaming quarterbacks, Carson Wentz is going to be a guy that you're going to pick up and start. So that's what I think you do with him. He's cuttable. He's probably nobody's trading for him because you're not going to get anything for it unless somebody's totally desperate. But he's worth being on a roster off and on all season.
So the last thing I'll say on Wentz too is, looking at the first 2 games where he obviously had a much higher completion percentage, almost dead nuts the same at 65.9, 65.2. But his yards per average were at 7.6 and 7.3.
Yeah.
So take the Philly game into it, and he's below 5. And he had, less than 60% completion percentage. yet he still had so many attempts. So versus these other teams where he's going to have a better chance at throwing on these defenses, as well as, Washington's defense not being great and him having to throw a lot to stay in games or win them. I mean, that yards per average is going to go up. Therefore, it's just going to help out as long as his completion percentage can stay consistent. I think he's going to be a viable starter, definitely stream worthy, and possibly a matchups play for your Superflex leagues. So that's what I'll finish out with on him. And the interesting point that the other overperformer we have here is the guy that was drafted right ahead of Carson Wentz, Mr. Jared Goff, now in the Detroit Lions offense. What about Goff? What's going on here? Is this smoke and mirrors? Is this the Goff number one
QB 11 on the
pick?
year, by the way? I mean, look, he's done it before at a very good offense. Granted, that was McVay and the Rams. So this is different. Look, I mean, he's had two pretty mediocre games, a 15-point game, a 13-point game, and a 26-point game, of course, against Washington, right? As I just said, their defense is absolute, dog pile. You know what I actually wanted to say?
Pooh.
Goff, yeah. Goff is gonna be. He's gonna have some games. The offense is far better this season. They're all healthy. Amon-Ra St. Brown is amazing. This dude is for real, and I like we were dead wrong on not trusting him coming into the season, and we have all been proven wrong on that. Hawkinson is good, but he's not a focal point on the offense right now. Swift, when healthy, is awesome. Jamal Williams is good. They've got, DJ Shark is showing things. Josh Reynolds is showing things. I mean, he's got guys, and eventually Jameson Williams is going to come back, and to where I don't really think Williams is going to be a big factor. I think it's only going to help, right? So Goff's going to have some weeks, man. He's just going to be very inconsistent. He's going to have, really good weeks and then like kind of blah weeks. But like his blah weeks, I don't think are going to be as bad as they were last year. And even the year before, where it was like single digits, so he's going to far surpass his ADP after is what I'm thinking after what I've seen for the first 3 weeks. So again, he's falling into that streamable quarterback range for sure, but that's about as high as I'm going with him. I'm not going out and like targeting him in a trade or, look, if somebody really wants to believe in it, fine. Go ahead and bye-bye. He's off my team.
He's very touchdown dependent in my eyes.
Yeah.
Because they like to run in the red zone right on the goal line so much with Jamal Williams.
They do. You're right.
So it really is dependent on if he can get, 2 to 3 touchdowns a game. Because if he's not getting those 2 to 3 touchdowns a game, he's probably going to just be that subpar quarterback, 15, 20 points.
Yeah. Which, I mean, it doesn't kill you. And again, it's almost like the Kirk Cousins effect, right? Where it doesn't kill you, but it's not going to win you the week. But he'll finish like overall in the year, like top 15, just because he wasn't like horrible.
Yeah, I mean,
that's kind of how it falls with him. But we do have a question before we jump over here to running backs, and it is a good friend Bob Dole here. So the usual question: Stafford or Murray this week? Bob, I love you jumping on and asking the questions, but this is going to be Murray for a long time. I'm never sitting Murray for Stafford just because of the rushing upside. Probably 99 times out of 100. So you can keep asking, but I'm probably going to give you the same answer every week.
Yeah, I'm going to go with Murray.
Yeah.
Stafford, you're dead to me almost.
I mean, Stafford's fine, but he's just not. He's not going crazy anymore. Kupp is doing fine, but Stafford, 29 and 10 and 27 QB finishes right now. Just not getting it done. Murray also kind of, but his legs can kind of carry him. Last week was bad, but he kind of pulls the rabbit out of the hat and makes things happen at times, and that makes it just enough of a difference for it to be Murray. So
Yeah.
anyway, thanks for the question, Bob. Let's move on here to our running back busts, and I've got a bunch here. Try to rip through these a little bit faster here. I'm just going to ask you with these guys, and I'll let you pick one, and I'll pick one. So first off, I'm going to say it's pretty much every top early round running back has been awful this year. Outside of like Saquon, who has, done some things. So good for him. And I had the other guy up here. Where did he go? Nick Chubb had a game, but we weren't like super excited about him, before week 3. So it's just like one game for him. But these other guys, man, they haven't quite lived up to what we expected. Yeah, Jonathan Taylor may not be a bust, right? He's number 10. Christian McCaffrey is 11. They were 1 and 2. Henry's 12. Eckler's 20. Not quite bust, but it's we're not feeling great about it. Cook is 22. He was drafted 5th. But here are the guys, right? Kamara, right? I know he missed time with injury, but he hasn't even looked good when he was on the field, right? It just hasn't been there. Najee Harris, if he hadn't fallen into the end zone a couple times, we would not, like, he wouldn't even be running back 11 or not 17. He wouldn't even be close. It's been bad. Austin Eckler, right? Yeah, he's running back 20 right now, but I mean, come on, he was like the 3rd or 4th running back taken in most drafts.
Yeah, if not higher.
He hasn't scored yet. Which one of these guys do you want to take and kind of talk on it, and I'll pick one of the other ones.
I mean, to me, I'm going to go with Eckler because it is the most surprising to me. Like I said, he was taken over Taylor in some drafts that I was in. He was taken over CMC. I hadn't seen him taken before both of them, but I mean, he was looked at as such a high upside guy. He's got the receiving ability, he's got the rushing ability, he's on a high powered offense, checks all the boxes, but he's not getting it done. I mean, he's not getting the opportunity as much this year. I don't know why, but maybe they're going to rely more on receivers. Okay, great, but he's got to be able to get his. I think that the one thing moving forward is the hope that he's still going to be the main threat in the red zone and at the goal line. He's going to be the trusted option there. So, his touchdown dependency may kind of creep into this a little bit, but I'm holding on him. I'm not, not dumping him or anything like that. I'm still starting him because it's just going to be 1 week and then he's going to take off.
Agreed. My take on him right now is that he is seeing just an immense amount of targets on that team. I think it's like 20% target share on the team right now, which is just crazy. And I know Keenan Allen's out, but you have to imagine, right now the yards per carry, the yards per catch are just way down. I think this law of averages, positive regression, if we want to say that, is going to creep up for him. The red zone usage is the thing that really does get me for him, and that one actually concerns me. It's just not there. 3rd down usage isn't there for him. It's just weird. It's like you would think that would be where he's at on the field, but it's just not. So, I mean, again, he's a hold because I think you're going to have to sell super low. But it's just not. Yeah. it's just not there for him. So the guy I want to touch on is Najee Harris, and man, I don't know what to say about him right now. It's unfortunate. This offense is just miserable. The volume is there for him. 10, 15 to 15 attempts. He's seen, not as much work in the passing game as we were hoping for from last season. But I mean, again, if he hadn't fallen into the end zone now twice, once on a pass in week 1, a very short pass, and then once on a very short run in week 3, we wouldn't even be looking at him within the top 20 running backs. I mean, we'd be looking outside top 40 probably. That's how bad it is for him. So this offense got to get going. I know the coaching staff wanted to say, they're going to keep Trubisky in there all season, but I mean, at some point they gotta start scoring points, and Trubisky's not getting it done. And Pickett may not do it either. I mean, you got to try. At some point, like, it's just not working. I mean, Deontay Johnson's another one of those guys on that team who isn't quite a bust because, especially in like PPR, he's just seeing so much volume. It's carrying him, but he's not scoring. At some point, you gotta score points. And if the quarterback can't move the ball, get first downs, you got to make the change. You got to at least try. So that's my concern there. But again, man, like as I said, a lot of these early round running backs have just not worked out so far this year, and the zero RB folk are definitely just licking their lips and laughing at everybody else right now. So
yes. So the overperformers here that we have. I'll just go through the same way because these guys are all kind of the same. So you got Clyde Edwards-Helaire, you got Miles Sanders, you got Cordero Patterson, and then you got James Robinson. I feel like we touched on Robinson a bit last week, so we can leave him out of it. We talked about Sanders a little bit too. I'm gonna go ahead and take.
Oh, you're not gonna ask me? I gave you first pick.
Oh, yeah. Sorry.
Oh, yeah. Okay. So I'm taking your boy CEH.
I know it. I was going to take Cordero anyway. So.
Oh, perfect. All right. So my take on CEH is he is a 100% get the hell off my team. Not cut. Buy. Sell. Get rid of him. There is no way he keeps this up. He is one of the guys who is in my perfect. I love this. Yes, I would actually. I know that Bears offense is atrocious, but I think I would actually. I think the volume that David Montgomery gets is sorry. The question for people listening, I don't realize I always forget we're not always all
question
video.
Good.
So
totally.
Trade CEH for David Montgomery, and it is yes, I would do it because again the snap count is actually not in CEH's favor. It's actually in Jared McKinnon's favor. The touches are not in his favor. He is touchdown dependent right now, and yes, he's getting them, but it's just I don't believe it's going to continue. It's just
So I'm kind of curious here, Joe. Just out of like I said, curiosity, it killed the cat. Would you trade CH for like
who is that?
And I'll just name a couple players here. It's the voice from the sky.
Yes.
Antonio Gibson, right off the bat.
Sucks.
Quick, come on, give me quick.
No, only because
All right.
I think Brian Robinson's coming back sooner than we thought.
How about somebody like James Robinson, who's kind of dealing with a snap situation in Jacksonville?
I mean, he's dominating it.
For James Robinson.
Yeah, he's
or like an ETN, the one who's not benefiting from that snap percentage.
I don't think I would do it for ETN, even though I do like ETN. James Robinson's a tough one because I kind of
I
do
have
think
one
eventually.
more.
I think James
Chase
Robinson
Edmonds.
and Edwards-Helaire are close, but I mean at this point, I might go James Robinson because at least he's getting like he's getting 15, 20 touches a game right now.
Yeah, I
Just to give some people some
I like
examples of who to maybe target out there for CEH if you're holding them.
Yeah. All right. So Cordero Patterson. I mean, again, I don't know. Maybe this guy's found a fountain of youth that Tom Brady was living in until he retired, and then whatever. And
AJ, hang on one second. Bob, I've seen your questions. We'll get to them in just a second. I wanted to get through the running backs before we rip through yours, so we're not ignoring you. I promise.
So, I mean, we saw it last year. Okay, this guy came out of nowhere. Maybe now he's the real deal. No. I mean, I'm still not buying in. If I have shares of him in best ball, I'm ecstatic about it. It's just too hard for me to believe in this. It was 1 year, and he's been in the league for a lot more than 1 year. So, I don't know. Maybe he's found his calling here in the ATL, but I just don't see him being able to keep this up.
I'm with you on that a little bit, AJ. I don't think he's going to keep up this pace right now because what is he? He's running back. I put it on this list here. He is running back 5 right now. These are half PPR leagues that I go off of. I like to go right down in the middle. The reason why is, I mean, his season total, he's only got 62% of the snap share. But I mean, like, look, in reality, though, like he's just outperforming everybody else on this team as far as running backs go by such a large amount. I don't see any one of them even getting close to contending for carries at this point. It was supposed to be Damian Williams, but he's now on the IR, so he's out for a while. I like Patterson, man. Like the guy runs hard. He's a big guy. He's hard to bring down. Like he's tall.
I mean, don't get me wrong.
He's a big dude. I mean, he's 6'2". So I really do like him.
But I just
honestly
don't know if he can keep it up.
I get it, and that's kind of why I'm like he's almost a buy high for me, which is weird to say because I feel like there are people like you who probably have him in leagues that are like, oh, this isn't believable. I'm gonna try to sell high, right?
Yeah,
I'll take
people like fine.
I'll take him because you know what? Because you're willing to give him up, you probably aren't gonna get true value for him. At least in my mind.
Great point.
You're probably willing to trade off for one of these, these sort of early bust guys. Like I would never trade for Cordero Patterson and give up like a Najee or a Kamara or an Eckler or something like that. But you want to give up a you want to give up like maybe a James Conner. Sure, I'd do that. You want to give up maybe even honestly even like a Zeke. I might do that, man. Zeke's been mediocre. Even when that comes back, I'm not really sure what's going to happen with that offense. With the busted finger. It's going to take him a few weeks to get into it.
So I just hope it goes down in fiery flames.
So there's some guys you can probably trade who, have early season hype still at this point, maybe, and just kind of name value and be like, yeah, I'll take Steve Pat and run with it. So let's jump into these questions here. We'll kind of rapid fire through it for Bob here.
All right.
So he asked, should I pick up Jimmy G instead? I'm guessing that's based off of the Stafford or Murray. No, you're holding Stafford and Murray. If those are your two quarterbacks.
Yeah.
In fact, honestly, Bob, unless it's like I'm guessing it's not a 2 QB league or like a 14 team league or anything like that, I'm trying to get rid of Stafford and get anything for him. Murray doesn't have a bye until week 13, so you really don't need Stafford pretty much ever, and you'll figure out week 13 at that point, you know. And if Murray goes down, Stafford's not winning you the league at this point, so you're kind of toast. Jimmy G is not the answer either by any means. So no, I'm not trading Stafford for Jimmy G, but I'm willing to like dangle Stafford out there to another manager who thinks that Stafford might be the answer. That's what I would do. Next up, there was another one here. Do I play Singletary over Harris? So Devin Singletary or Harris? Close to me. That's going to be a high shootout game, man. So are you able to tell me, Bob, real quick, if it's half or full PPR? I'm going to wait just a second on that, but I feel like I want to go. Man, I gotta search my rankings for them. It's just,
well, again,
it is full. So in that case, I'm going Singletary because he has been catching plenty of passes out of the backfield. Last week he saw 11 targets. That's nuts. That's not going to happen again. But I mean, Harris sees literally nothing. I mean, 3 and 2. I mean, Singletary saw that amount the first couple of weeks, but I think teams are starting to finally figure out like they got to shut down the receivers.
Yeah,
Josh Allen was smart enough to just dump it off, and Baltimore's good enough to be able to figure that out this week. So,
and another thing to keep in mind too, Bob, is if Knox ends up not playing in this game or is limited because of the injury issues he's dealing with, maybe this does go Singletary's way. Maybe he's the one that's getting those vacated targets from the Knox. So I still like Singletary over Harris.
Yeah. Alrighty, let's move on here to our wide receivers and the bus here. DJ Moore, Allen Robinson, Darnell Mooney, and Sky Moore. I threw him in there just because, man, he got a lot post NFL draft hype.
He had some draft
helium coming in here. So again, I'll let you kind of take the first one here and roll with it. What's your thoughts?
I'm going to leave you your boy so you can defend him, even though I'm right there with you and hating life for owning him. I mean, Mooney, we've kind of already talked about. This whole offense is it's just a train wreck right now. I still find it hard to like fathom dropping a wide receiver 1 on a team. He should be seeing the volume, but it's just not there because Fields is not good right now either. I mean, the whole team just is fire of multiple dumpsters, continually driving themselves into the Grand Canyon. So I'm going to go with DJ Moore. I mean, I was excited for Moore. He's kind of just been captain consistency in my mind. He's had different quarterbacks, he's had different coaching staffs. He's had to put up with a lot of bullshit in his career so far, but he's always been very good and succeeded, at least from a yardage standpoint. Touchdowns have been up and down some years, but I mean, it's hard to see him finally falling off. And it's like, is this because of Baker? Is it a combination of things? You got to keep an eye on CMC though. If he doesn't play this week, Baker's got to find somebody that he trusts. Hopefully that's more. So maybe he bounces back a little bit this week, but if CMC gets healthy quick and starts demanding more targets, I think it's just going to be a rough ride for DJ Moore owners.
Yeah, I agree. It's the quarterback play, in my opinion. Like, it's just, again, it's like with who I guess I've got to say him, right? Just because you told me I had to, basically, is Allen Robinson. Like, we thought he was quarterback proof, and maybe he's not. You know, if your quarterback is that bad, then I guess there's nothing you can do about it.
Yeah.
And unfortunately, with Allen Robinson this year, like, he has proven it doesn't matter who the quarterback is now. Like, he might just be washed. I don't really know what's going on. The offense does not seem to be even closely revolving around him. Week 2, like week 1 was weird. Like, they just like didn't run him in routes. Like, I forget who they were playing. They kind of like bracketed coverage at Allen, and then like let Cup run free, which was the stupidest thing ever. Week 2, Allen, caught 4 out of 5, and eventually figured it out. But it's not. I don't really know what to do with him. Like, I just feel like you're getting 0 from him in a trade. So I think he's just kind of a hold. And I apologize, guys. I know my mic's screwing up. I'm trying to fix it as I'm talking. That's why I keep trying to like wiggle the cord here, but it's just not fixing itself. So I apologize.
It ain't gonna fix itself if you've been wiggling it this long, son.
That's right. I've tried, Mike. He's telling me to unplug it. I've tried.
No comment.
Now you're just wasting time.
I've tried.
It's all right. You sound like the Tech Mobo intro.
Yeah. 8-bit
tonight. The theme,
8-bit Joe. Yeah. This is all part of.
I know AJ was going for it. Shake it once. Shake it.
What's it?
Twice. Shake it 3 times. You're playing. Yeah.
Okay. Well, this beer break is brought to you by Cold Running.
I'm gonna unplug and plug back in. Hang on.
It's
AJ, go to the. Yeah, you start the bus.
All right, fine.
Back.
All right. It's a cold IPA. Pretty heady. It's from Wrong Crowd Beer Company in shout out Westchester, the Dub C, PA. Yeah, I like this one. It's pretty good. So, hey, you're back.
Okay, so he is. Am I back? Do I sound like ass? All right. So we have a question too.
Yes.
Who is sleeper?
We're going
to pick a sleeper tight end. Do those exist?
They're every tight end not drafted.
Evan Ingram, maybe? He runs the routes. It's just he did not have a good game last week.
No. I mean, like, I feel like with tight ends, right, the guys who haven't been drafted, and like if they're still out there, I'm just going to give you some names of some guys that might be on the waiver wire that are playing well, who maybe your league is just sort of sleeping on. They might not be sleepers at this point. It is the Evan Ingrams. He's seeing lots of routes. He's seeing lots of targets at this point. Not a good game of week 3, as Mike in the sky talked about. Logan Thomas is one. The joke who had an amazing week 3, but not so good the first 2 weeks. We're going to talk about him, I feel like. But Tyler Conklin, I mean, I guess sleeper at this point. If you even remotely think this Bears offense is going to like figure out that they probably should throw the ball more than 11 times a game, Cole Kmet, because I'm guaranteeing he's been dropped in tons and tons of leagues. So and Bob saying Gesicki is one. Although if Tua is not around, who the hell knows? Like, I don't know what to think about this offense with him. I got to really look into this one. But yeah, Gesicki's one who's going to be probably inconsistent because they do have Hill and Waddle. But Gesicki's been playing well. So at times. So yeah, he's another one. Anyway,
all right.
So
let's go to these overperformers here. Or are we
do the bust?
No, we didn't do the
so bust real quick. It is Pitts, it's Kmet, and it's Albert O.
Wait.
Who do you want? Give us
We didn't
a
even
minute
do
on
the
it.
wide receiver overperformers yet.
Oh, did we skip that? My bad. I'm all
Yeah.
because my mic's screwing up, man. You guys are yelling at me. I'm sorry. Yeah, sorry. We'll go to wide receiver overperformance.
Okay. So again, we'll do some quick fire. We got Amon-Ra St. Brown. We got Christian Kirk. We've got Drake London and Garrett Wilson is our rookie combination of overperformance. Go ahead and pick one first.
I'm going to take. I'm going to take Garrett Wilson. I like this guy's talent. He was the number 1 drafted receiver for a reason. Here's why I'm selling high. This offense, as much as I don't like Joe Flacco, this offense is not going to be the same when Zach Wilson returns. Zach Wilson likes to improvise, and they're going to probably run a little more. Joe Flacco is a gunslinger. I mean, and that's what he's known for. As much as he's not good, but it was working, right? I mean, tons of targets. Now, the one thing going for, Zach Wilson too, right, is they're still going to probably be behind in plenty of games. So maybe he's going to have to pass the ball a bunch, but Garrett Wilson, out of any of these other guys we mentioned, is probably the only sell high I have on the board here.
Okay. Sorry, I had to laugh because sidebar. That last segment where I just watched you talking on the video, you reminded me of a young Larvell Jones from Police Academy and Mr. Michael Winslow, the real name. You want to fight? Fight me. That's what you look like. So, yeah. Anyway,
glad I can use you.
Me too. At least you're good at something. Okay, we'll go to my conversation here. I mean, I'm buying into Amon. I liked him coming in this year. Unfortunately, people liked him a lot more than I did, and everybody grabbed him. I'm going to talk about Kirk because I think he is. He's definitely a surprise. I don't know if he's going to be this good the entire season. But if he is, then kudos to everybody that has him because you are going to ride that train forever. We talked about Dougie Peterson and his mentorship and coaching with Trevor Lawrence, actually making Lawrence look like a worthwhile franchise quarterback after Urban Meyer tried to completely destroy that idea last year. So I'm looking forward to this weekend, man. Birds, Jags, welcoming Dougie P back. It's going to be an emotional day. Lots of stuff going on. But if Kirk has to go up against, the Slaymaker, it's going to be bad. It's going to be like Justin Jefferson week 2 all over again. So you might not want to play Kirk this week, but coming weeks, I'm all for it.
Yeah, I mean, you say that, but I mean, McLaurin still had a pretty decent week this past week. So I think it's not Kirk isn't like your normal number 1 where he's running the outside routes. He's, sort of a slot, sort of underneath guy. Like he's going to be all over the place. So I think he can make things happen. But we do have another question here. From Gits here on YouTube. My team is Geno and Stafford. I'm hoping you drafted Stafford first. I'm kidding. I know you did. Jonathan Taylor, J.K. Dobbins, Cooper Kupp, Mike Evans, Jacoby Myers, T.J. Hawk, Elijah Moore. The bench is pretty bad. I don't like my team. What kind of trade should I look for? This seems tough, man, because you've been sort of hit with the Stafford slow start. and I do think he's going to pick it up, but it's still sort of a crummy start for him. I don't think we're getting what we got from him last year. Jonathan Taylor hasn't lived up to what we were hoping as a number one lockdown pick. J.K. Dobbins has been hurt. Last week he came back, but limited. Cooper Kupp, awesome. Mike Evans suspended for a game. Jacoby Myers hurt. G.G. Hawkinson's been kind of bad. You've just been hit by a bunch of bad situations all at the same time, and it's irritating. I have a few teams like this too. I don't know, man. This is tough. I'd have to look at a bench and we don't have time to get into it on the show, but honestly, depending on what you've got as far as backup receivers, this looks like a pretty deep league. In my opinion, if Myers is your third receiver, maybe Elijah Moore was supposed to be, you just threw Myers in there, but it's gonna be hard to trade and find guys off the waiver wire, in my opinion, in a league like this. I think you just have to hope that Jonathan Taylor can get things going, Dobbins can come back and start really rolling through in this. Oh, you said 12-man actually, so he did actually answer that before I even asked and I didn't see it. I think you just have to hope Dobbins can get more involved in the Ravens running game, which we know can just be amazing. Evans is back. Kupp is good. Stafford is going to at least hold down the fort more weeks than not, I feel like. It's that third receiver, I feel like, that you've got to upgrade somehow. I traded Patterson and Connor for JT. Did I win? Ooh.
Patterson and James Conner.
Yeah, I mean, probably.
I hate it. Yeah.
I mean, Jonathan Taylor, we've seen this time and time again with Frank Reich. He needs to get his head out of his ass, and he needs to run Jonathan Taylor more. He needs to stop thinking he's got, an MVP Carson Wentz playing quarterback for him when he's got, crappy Carson Wentz and old man Matt Ryan playing quarterback for him. And he's just we're just going to throw the ball 40 times a game. Stop it. Run this damn ball with your best player by a lot. So, I think you won that trade. Maybe not in the short term, but I think in the long term, I think that trade, Jonathan Taylor will be that difference maker that is gonna be worth it for you. So I know it's hard looking at it now because you're looking at what CPAT did last week and you're going oh my god, but I think JT's gonna make up for it. So I think it'll be fine. But
all right,
man. Tight end. So rapid fire, man. Kyle Pitts, Cole Kmet, Albert Ogunbowale.
I mean, Pitts we kind of touched on last week. Kmet, you kind of touched on earlier.
Always same people listening. So what you got?
Yeah, no, I mean, I think Pitts has definitely been the biggest bust as far as a top tier tight end, and Kmet's been, the back end sleeper pick if you missed out on the top tier guys. He's been a bust. So and Albert O was right there with him too. I feel like those were two guys that I knew I was going to target late. So, I think of all of these guys, Pitts is the biggest disappointment so far because of the draft stock you put in to get him. Especially in a tight end premium league, you're not happy right now with him as your tight end one. That said, I feel like he is better than what he's shown. I mean, I know he's better than what he's shown. Mm-hmm. So I'm looking for some upside here. I'm still holding him. I mean, that's you paid that much for him. You've got to hold him at this point.
Yeah,
you can't just cut him
because you're selling him so much pennies of the dollar at this point.
Yeah, I mean, you're going to be,
and that's the problem with a guy like Pitts. If you took the chance on him this year and he didn't pan out, you've kind of just got to hold, right? You know, at this point.
Yeah.
So I agree with you. The other guys, Komet and Albert O, like I already said, Komet, bye-bye. You're gone. Albert O, he's cuttable too, man. And I mean,
think he is,
that's really all there is to it, like with those two guys. So I think we can just
because
move
there's
on.
other guys that you're going to find,
You can stream
that we're
Logan
going to talk
Thompson's
about right
Conklin.
here.
I, for one, just literally this morning cut Cole Kmet for Tyler Conklin in my home league with my family. I can't do that in most leagues. Conklin's gone, but it's thankfully
I mean, our overperformers here. We've got Higbee. We've for as bad as Stafford's been, Kupp has definitely been his usual self, and Higbee's been like the best next player. So he's been very good so far. Conklin, who we just talked about, Evan Ingram we touched on earlier, Logan Thomas we touched on earlier. I mean, these are all of our overperformers. It sounds like you kind of like all of them.
I mean, I do.
Like, how are you ranking these guys? Like for
rest of the season, I would rank them Higbee. God, I mean,
dude, it's like a 2A, 2B.
Higbee, Thomas, Conklin, Ingram. I still don't believe in Ingram. I still just don't.
Okay.
I just don't.
I mean, fair enough. I don't.
Conklin is one of those, like, he's been thriving on the fact that Flacco, I think, is throwing him the ball. I just don't believe in it as much. And so I might get burned by making that swap for Kmet to Conklin this week, but I just come on, Kmet's giving me like 2 points a game right now. So whatever.
I will say, Conklin was valuable, relatively, when he was in Minnesota, because they had Irv Smith, who was very similar to an Evan Ingram or an Njoku early in his season or career. So, there's always this other guy that's there, and Conklin outperformed Irv Smith in a lot of games. But I do think that, with Wilson coming back, he's going to look more towards the receivers, guys he's comfortable with. But I still think that there can be a good chemistry there with Conklin. But I would probably go Higbee, Thomas, Ingram, Conklin, because of the QB switch and the unknown. Isn't that no? You said Conklin, Ingram. I think. I don't know. Let's move on to rankings.
No, what you said, but all right, yeah, all right. So
I don't know.
Yeah, we're gonna try to go quickly through these. We realize we were a little long-winded on that one, but yeah, we'll go through these rankings. This is where AJ and Mike from the Sky will chime in and ask me some questions about my rankings for this week. And
you don't have much to go on this week because
first question sucks. Yeah.
This one is the best one, though. Russell Wilson still ranked as a QB1 for you this week. Why? What are you thinking?
Honestly, I don't love it either. Full disclosure, at this point in the week, with the rankings, it is a little bit of the numbers do the talking, the projections do the talking a little bit, and then
politics. Okay, I asked you why you have Russell Wilson as QB12. What is wrong with you?
Because he's playing Vegas. Is that enough of an answer? They've allowed the third most points to quarterbacks this week or this year. If there's any week Russell Wilson's gonna get right, it's this week, right? It's gotta happen. Please. So many of us are relying on this team to figure it out, and it's just gotta happen. So I don't know. That's my answer. I don't feel great about it. I'm not gonna lie, but it's where kind of things fall. Honestly, like some of the projections put him way higher than that, and I didn't feel good about it, and that's where I put him instead. So
Yeah.
I didn't go.
All right, well.
I didn't go as high as I probably should have.
Yeah, you did. All right. So running backs here, we've got two that are not names we would typically be talking about, but because of injury concerns, they are. Got our boy VT Proud, Khalil Herbert, and Mr. J. Will up in Detroit because Monty obviously is leaning towards probably not playing for a while. And Swift is also questionable. I mean, you've got these guys where exactly? What is it, 8 and 10? 8 or 9 and 11? Somewhere in there.
I right now
write that down.
have Herbert 10th.
Okay. So 10th and 12th, I believe.
Yeah, it's a bold move. I get it. I mean, come on, look at what he did last week in, you know, what, 3/4 of a game. It's the Giants still are not a phenomenal defense, you know, by any means. So looking at their running backs, you know, they've allowed the 6th most points allowed to running backs.
Yeah.
What do the Bears like to do? They definitely don't like to pass. They like to run. So Khalil Herbert's got to be able to at least, you know, get it done again. You know, like, I'm not expecting 30.9 points again, but Herbert is definitely in the discussion for top 10, top 12 running backs.
Yeah.
I don't think that's such an agreed. Now, obviously, if Montgomery randomly plays, we got a different story. So,
well,
adjustments will be made. But I'm ranking him there,
I knew that going into this question,
yes.
But I felt like this was an egregious lift. Like, this was almost replacing full on in your rankings. I feel like these players, obviously Swift probably would have been ahead of Monty, but
he's probably higher than Monty would have been.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. So
by quite a bit, actually. Monty would not have been there. Monty is he just runs into the back of people and just like tries to figure it out. Like, he's just a plotter at this point. Like, that's what he does. So, like, you know, and eventually it'll work. But yeah. So I know the next guy you brought up was Jamal Williams. So I'm just going to cut right to it. Yeah. Again, playing another defense, not playing very good right now. And in Seattle, they've allowed the 11th most points to running backs. Probably no Swift. So, you know, I know there's Craig Reynolds and a couple other guys that might take some snaps.
In your rankings. I was like, huh?
Yeah.
Please stop. I was like,
well, no, I mean, Reynolds will get some carries, and
yeah,
for a running back desperate team, you know, he's flex consideration. You know, he's in the 45 territory. He'll see some carries, but this is going to be a large percentage of Jamal Williams at this point. So, yeah. I think that's what we've got to go for here with him. So, moving on.
All right, Mike, go ahead and hit your question up.
All right. So here's my question here, Joe. Josh Jacobs ranked as consensus running back number 25. I'm kind of curious why you got him 5 spots higher than consensus. This is kind of not like you, especially for Josh Jacobs.
Oh, I guess we skipped the question. I was waiting for something else. I had all my stuff ready for the next one.
Oh, I took that one off.
Thanks. I was not ready for that. Yeah, Josh Jacobs is an interesting one to me. I guess it's another one of those, like, he's just seeing such a high volume in that offense when he's on the field. So volume plays. Denver is not a great scenario there, but I mean, you're kind of hoping with a Josh Jacobs who sees as much volume as he does, that maybe he'll fall into the end zone. And if he does, I mean, RB25 is money in the bank. RB20 is money in the bank. You know, at that point, fall in the end zone, you're probably in the top 20 running backs every week. Najee Harris has done it.
I was just going to say.
So this has also an attribution to the fact that RBs are just kind of stinking right now.
They suck right now. So it's more like, he's got a little bit of, he can just kind of trip into the end zone from the 2-yard line, 1-yard line, and make it work.
Yeah. But then replay will come
If
in.
he doesn't, he'll be
called
RB40.
and
So I might really eat that one.
All right. Sweet. Let's talk about some receivers. So the one I put down here, CeeDee Lamb. You still have him at, I believe, 13 right now. So just outside the Q or the wide receiver one conversation here. But you are 2 higher than the ECR. Are you banking on the fact that, the football team sucks?
They're not the football team anymore. They're the
CD
Commanders,
is, yeah. They're the football team. That's what they will be known as.
Okay.
CD is obviously a top tier receiver, but he doesn't have Dak there, and Cooper Rush is, not Cooper Kupp.
CeeDee Lamb. Did you see the last game? CeeDee Lamb missed a touchdown. Like, that was a touchdown. Look, he is still seeing an enormous amount of targets, even with Cooper Rush there.
Yeah.
The Commanders are awful, as we said. Sorry, sort of hiccup there at the same time. So yeah, it's a combination of the Commanders are terrible on defense, and I'm watching Mixon just get stonewalled on the goal line. Holy crap, what is happening? Somehow Miami is winning this game without Tua, by the way. Bridgewater, hey, he's fine. I guess he's serviceable.
Journeyman.
Yeah, so honestly, I could put CeeDee Lamb a couple of spots higher, and I wouldn't blink an eye. Like, I could put him above AJ Brown, and I wouldn't blink an eye, who I have at 10 right now. I think he's still that good. It's just the Cooper Rush, aspect of it does kind of bring his ceiling down just a bit. But he's still been decent with him, so it's fine, man.
Yeah. All right. Fair enough. Mike, who you got?
All right, Joe. So you have DK Metcalf, 8 spots lower in the consensus this week at wide receiver 31 compared to 23 for consensus. Are we finally out on DK after 3 weeks? Keep in mind, just going back to your volume argument, volume plays here. We're looking at a guy who's 21st in wide receivers and targets. I know that, sounds bad, but it's only 3 less than Cortland Sutton, who you have ranked 15 this week. So I'm just a little curious about that.
I get the volume plays, and volume plays when the volume is actually good. And I don't think anybody is thinking that the volume from, shockingly, the volume from Cooper Rush has been better than the volume from Geno Smith. Sorry, guys. I hate to break it to you, but
I don't believe the numbers.
So with DK, right? He caught 7 of 7 in week 1 for a whopping 36 yards. Woohoo!
That was against Denver, so
that's a good rushing line. He caught 4 of 6 for 35 the next week. Then last week, fine, he caught 5 of 12 for 64, and he finally caught, it was an amazing touchdown catch. But the point is, it's just it's not good. I know the matchup is good. Detroit's really not great against anybody right now. So it's just more like the quality of targets he's getting is just not good. Geno likes to run around back there and do his thing, and he's just, I don't know. It's just, I've watched a couple, because these Seattle games are on later in the day, so you get a lot more, TV time than some of the other ones. It just doesn't look good for him. DK has that capability of just busting one out for 60 yards and a touchdown, and then he'll be a top 10 receiver that week, but it just hasn't happened, and it just doesn't look very good for him. So We do have a question though before you guys move on to tight ends here real quick. From it's like a 3-part question here, so we'll quickly get through these here. It's SSJ Visca 10. Been offered 2 trades. Love to get our opinion. 1, receiving Josh Jacobs, giving up Scary Terry, or the other one is I'm receiving Mike Evans and giving up Amari. It's giving me a headache. I feel like I got to do it, but man, Amari's been good. Oof.
Wow. Okay.
I am not doing Josh Jacobs for Terry McLaurin. That is out. I'm not doing that. I know McLaurin hasn't been awesome yet, but I can't do that. No. I think McLaurin is still a top 15 receiver overall in this league, and Josh Jacobs is just a guy. You know, he gets volume, but it's not great volume at this point. This Amari and Mike Evans ones does sort of is conflicting to me. I like, as everybody knows who has listened to the show many times, I hate Amari Cooper. But man, something with him and Brissett has clicked. That's
all he needed.
Dude,
he just needed a really average quarterback and a new.
Didn't he have that with Derek Carr?
Uniform.
I mean, yeah. Anyway, I'm keeping Mike Evans. He's been kind of whatever, but Mike Evans is the dude in Tampa. He's at least the red zone guy there, right? And so Amari's going to go off from time to time. Mike Evans is going to be more consistent for you, and that's what I like more than Amari.
Yeah, I think I'd agree with both of those. I think I like Jacobs a little more than you, but I do have a fear of the Abdullah Bolden effect. And then eventually
I'm not really worried about that.
Some of that volume. It's going to make an average player even less average. So, but yeah, Amari, I would give up Amari for Evans. Absolutely. So,
I think. Oh yeah. Oh yeah. Sorry,
that's what it was.
Yeah, him receiving Mike Evans and giving him.
Yeah,
oh yeah. Sell high on Amari.
Yeah.
Bingo. Yeah. In fact, isn't that the dude you had up there as a sell high in your notes? Oh no,
I had.
That would have been mine. That would 100% been mine. Yeah, we had different notes earlier. We were going to do the show differently.
Yeah.
But anyway.
All right.
That being said,
so
tight ends.
Tight ends here. We've got. We kind of already talked about these guys too. Logan Thomas and Conklin.
Yeah, not much to say here.
They're both pretty close in your rankings. I just feel like if you have belief in them, I would have expected them to be maybe a little higher, but I think I get the Conklin with what I was saying.
I think with Conklin, right? It's that. Yeah, I mean, Pittsburgh's not what they used to be, but they're still a pretty good defense, right? So give that some credit. It is Zach Wilson's first game back, so you got to, dock him down. I also just don't really. I mean, let's be real. Like, is Conklin really going to keep this up? Who the hell knows, man? Like, it just seems a little unbelievable. Like, it is very hard to rank Conklin over dudes like George Kittle and Dallas Goedert and Zach Ertz and who he has finished ahead of every single week. It feels like he's moved up the rankings every week for me, but it's just another one of those, like, I don't know. And then Logan Thomas, I actually have him ranked higher than most. And that's just one of those.
I mean, you got him 4 up on ECR. So
yeah, I mean, that was one of those, like the numbers did their thing, and then I kind of manually moved him up there.
Yeah.
Last week was bad for him, but the weeks before that has been pretty good. He's a red zone guy. He's a big guy. We know that as a Hokie. Last week,
it was
everything went wrong for the Commanders last week. So I know people are just, kind of crapping on that, but
no,
and I believe Logan Thomas could be a top 15 tight end every week. He's healthy. He's just that guy. he's going to catch 4 or 5 balls every week, and maybe not 4. He'll get 4 or 5 targets every week, catch 3 or 4 for 30 to 40 yards, and if he scores, it's even better.
Yeah.
You catch 4 passes for 40 yards to the tight end, you're top 15 every week. I guarantee it. So,
all right, let's rip through some injuries here. So quarterback, not too much really to talk about here. I mean, Mac Jones dealing with an ankle injury, did not practice. Winston is dealing with a back. He is questionable. Mac Jones, is doubtful.
He's not playing.
Yeah, I'm not worried about those two. So, Dalvin Cook, we had as questionable originally today, but looks like positive update. He was a full practice today.
That shocks me. It's okay. How the hell do you play with that? And you and me would be like, we're dead. We're out.
Exactly. Connor, we talked about earlier, questionable with the knee. CMC, we also talked about questionable with the thigh. Monty, questionable with an ankle. Melgo, questionable with the neck. Swift, also questionable with the shoulder. I mean, I feel like they'd be wise to just hold him out. I mean, what do you think about that?
With Swift?
Swift, yeah.
Oh yeah, he's not playing. I want to get your thoughts on CMC. I mean, like just another thing.
Well, I mean, everything that I've been looking at, I've depleted myself of all shares of him this year. I just think this has looked like it's worse than last year. So,
well, at least last year when he played, he was awesome. This year when he's played, he's been kind of mediocre. But yeah, man, if somebody honestly, he's another one of those, like, if somebody wants to take him off my hands for a good haul, I probably will let him have him. Like, let him be somebody else's problem. If I'm wrong, I'm wrong. But man, you're gonna get a haul for him.
Well, I mean, if he misses 3 weeks and the haul you get back, puts you in even better position in your league. Hopefully you're already in good position.
Give you a bunch of depth, and you could probably still get really good talent from him. We got a question though from Ring Chesson over here. QB Wilson, Mariota, running back Taylor, Barkley, Javonte Williams, wide receivers Evans, Sutton, Curtis Samuel, Palmer, Hollins, tight end Waller, and Njoku. Thoughts 10 team.
It's Ring Chasin, not Chasin.
Chasin, sorry.
Ring Chasin rings.
I got it. Ring Chasin. Yeah, sorry. Anyway, I mean, I like it outside. You're probably struggling at a quarterback. 10 team league, you need a better quarterback than that. So, what happened, AJ? Where'd you go? I feel like honestly, like you waited on quarterback a little bit in a 10-teamer, and Wilson's got to come around. The rest of this is looking really good. You got hurt with the Evans and suspension. Wilson and Sutton have been good together, but Wilson not separately. I mean, it's a fine team. 10 teams, though, you do need to figure out how to go get a really, really good quarterback. And Wilson's just sadly not it right now. So I have lost AJ. So I am going to rip through the injuries myself here. So real quick, Greg Dolch, Arizona, questionable with back, limited practice. Teammate Rondell Moore, questionable with a hamstring, limited practice. Gabe Davis, Buffalo, ankle, did not practice today. Amon-Ra St. Brown, questionable with an ankle injury, did not practice. That's a new one. I was not aware that was going to happen. So, we're already kind of dealing with other injuries on that team, obviously. So Josh Reynolds, could be a guy that we're, really kind of targeting. I mean, I'd say it was a new injury. I think we kind of knew it coming out of this last game. I didn't really think it was serious, but he didn't practice. That's on a Thursday. That's not good. Alan Lazard, ankle, limited practice, probably fine. Zay Jones, ankle, did not practice. That was kind of new. So maybe Marvin Jones becomes more of a thing. Obviously Christian Kirk, we know is good here. Marquez Valdez Scantling, abdomen questionable, did not practice. Hunter Renfrow still not practicing with that concussion. So fire up those Mac Hollins shares possibly again. Jacoby Myers, questionable knee, limited practice. Jarvis Landry, New Orleans ankle, limited practice. Julio Jones, Russell Gage, Chris Godwin, all questionable. However, Chris Godwin's the only one who didn't practice. So I think the rest are probably leaning toward practice or playing, but Godwin is on the wrong side of that. I have a couple of extras to add here. Keenan Allen was limited in practice with that hamstring, so got to keep an eye on that one. Unfortunately, we're all really, really hoping he comes back, but I just don't think it may not happen again, unfortunately. Michael Thomas, questionable with a foot injury that he got last week, did not practice as well. And then also interesting is Sterling Shepard, we know, is out with the ACL injury, but the real question is like, who's the next man up? And honestly, do we really care? There he is. What's up, AJ? So Sterling Shepard, if you want to jump into this conversation that I'm having with myself, he is out. AJ. So who's the next man up here for the Giants? And do we care? I mean, we got Galladay, we got Sills, we got Richie James, we got, Tony, maybe he figures it out again. Wanda Robinson's hanging out there somewhere. But right now, like, who's the guy that you want to fill in the Shepard role?
The guy you want is Tony.
I think he's not really playing.
No, I know. Like,
me, it's Richie James.
I like James, but I'm almost tempted to go back to the Slayton well. I'm done with the Galladay one. Get rid of him if you have.
How about the Kadarius Toney well?
That's who I said first.
It's a broken down well.
Exactly.
So here's the thing: snap counts, right? I'm looking at snap counts, right? Slayton's got 8.8 on the year. Tony's got 17.1. Richie James is at 61 and Davis Sills is at 67. But Richie James has the second most targets on this team. And if you guys have read my targets, snap count, and whatever I call it article that comes out on Thursdays, you guys would know this because I hit this one up in my article. So
we talked about it last week too on the show. I mean, that's this.
Well, I think Richie James is the short term answer for you.
Yeah.
And like, look, I'm not starting him in any league by any means, but I'm not starting Sills either. Galladay, nope. You off my radar, bro. Sorry, I've given you too much credit for the last 2 years. You're done with me. I'm done with you. I mean, but I think Richie James could be like a weirdly like good PPR like flex play. Like he could see like 8 or 9 targets and catch like 7 of them for 50, 60 yards. He might not score, but that's 13 points. That's a good day for a flex.
For someone that you
not horrible
planning on playing ever.
Yeah, I picked up Richie James in a couple of leagues. I mean, he's on my bench, but
All right.
Oh, well.
So who else we got here?
Tight ends, man. I'll rip through these. So Dawson Knox, questionable, limited practice with the back. You mentioned that one earlier. David Njoku, knee. We have an NA. I've never seen that.
Not active.
Yeah. Meaning they did not list if he practiced.
All right. So not applicable. Okay. You should just say
you're exactly what I thought you meant.
Dalton Schultz. This one shocks me, dude.
Easier to type.
PCL injury, limited practice. So he's actually trending toward playing. I mean, if he lines up, I put him in my lineup because tight end sucks. But That scares me. And then TJ Hawkinson, foot, limited practice as well. I mean, it sounds like he's probably just going to play. They're just, same thing last week with him, and he played and he actually scored a touchdown. So cool. But he hasn't been good either. So I don't know if you got any words on that, or we just close things out.
No, man, shut it down.
Should I close with the intro? Because that was pretty fucking awesome. So I'm going to do it. I'm going to close with the intro, which I don't usually do, but because Davis Payne is so awesome, I'm going to do it. And thank you all for listening. Good luck in week 4. The score right now is 20-15 Bengals. This is a field goal game outside of one mixed touchdown in like the first 5 minutes of the game, dude. This game is boring. Sorry to say,
touchdown too.
What?
Higgins.
T. Higgins touchdown too.
He had the second.
Oh, did he score?
Yeah.
Oh, did they? Oh, I saw a field goal, and then I guess maybe he got reversed. I haven't been like paying that much attention. I thought
that was earlier in the game. That was, I believe it was second quarter. It was second quarter. 2:50 left.
No, you know what though? I saw on the scoreboard 16-13 at one point. Jesus. So they must have like reversed it, and then I guess maybe they scored.
T. Higgins, 7 receptions, 124, and the touch.
Hey, who said you should draft T. Higgins over Chase?
Oh, who did that?
Oh, I mean, like I said, don't draft Chase where he's going. Take Higgins later. Yeah.
Hill's having a decent game, so.
All right, guys. Good luck this week, and we will see y'all next week. Enjoy the intro as the outro. Peace.
The Fantasy Six-Pack Hour with your hosts, Joe Bob and AJ Applegarth.
Touchdown!